Unlike their neighbors in Northampton and Easthampton, residents of South Hadley voted to prohibit the sale of retail marijuana in town. And with those sales now available in the region, South Hadley Drug and Alcohol Prevention Coalition coordinator Karen Walsh Pio says that she's concerned kids haven't heard enough people say, stay away from marijuana.
Well, that belief comes from both the things that I hear young people say and the kinds of behaviors that I'm seeing reflected in the media, such as all the lines at the Northampton dispensary where young people, they're not all necessarily under 21. Of course, legally they can't get in unless they're 21, but a lot of young people are lined up purchasing marijuana products now.
But do you have any proof that any of those who are lined up are doing so illegally? I mean, like you say, you have to have that ID that says I'm 21 years old.
You absolutely do. And the only thing that I can go by is a recent study from Colorado where legalization has been in place much longer, obviously. And what they have found in a study that was done last March, that young people in the towns that have marijuana businesses are using more marijuana, have a perception that it is less dangerous and that it is not wrong as compared to towns where people do not have marijuana businesses.
Because I saw a different National Institutes of Health study that looked at Washington and Colorado states, and they saw something different. In their study of Colorado, the kids that they spoke with, which were 8th and 10th graders, they saw no change in perception in terms of, I think marijuana is bad, I think it's good, and no change in use. But in Washington state, they did see differences there. They did see more kids using, and they did see more kids thinking, well, maybe it's not so bad if it's legal.
Some of the studies in Colorado missed out on the 2 largest counties, and therefore the counties that would be more likely to show the numbers were not part of the study. But there is a law enforcement study that's done in Colorado, and that does show increased use among youth, and a number of other troubling factors for youth.
How will you encourage parents to talk to their kids about the fact that 2 neighboring communities will have this readily available?
We absolutely have to encourage all of our parents, and parents in the other towns too, I hope, talking to kids about family rules and values, family expectations, and the science around the impact of marijuana on the adolescent brain. Kids are not stupid. Kids have an interest in succeeding in life. And if they really begin to understand that this drug can impede their progress, I think the majority of kids will make the right choice.
I know you mentioned a moment ago or earlier in our conversation that you're overhearing kids talk about marijuana in maybe a more laissez-faire fashion than you'd like to hear. But are there other warning signs you're looking for to notice, okay, that there is a problem here? 21 is the legal age, but certainly I'm seeing kids much younger than that using.
So here's a term I'm sure you know, Juuls. That is a warning sign. The increase in the number of kids that are using Juuls and other e-cigarette products is an indicator, because a high percentage of kids, somewhere upwards between 18 and 30% of the students, are not Juuling nicotine. They're Juuling marijuana.
And so where does that 18 to 20, where are you finding that statistic
We
from?
do a youth survey. And also a year or so ago, I had some of the peer leaders at the high school do a survey among students. And they asked students who had used e-cigarettes how many of them were using it for the nicotine, how many of them were using it for marijuana, hash oil, etc. And at that time, it was approximately 25% of the students that were using the product were using it for marijuana.
So one of the things that the Cannabis Control Commission, the kind of legal overseer of the rollout of recreational marijuana in Massachusetts, has done is put out a public health campaign called More About Marijuana, which is meant to, I'm sure you're familiar with it, educate parents, kids about marijuana use. What more, if anything, do you think that the state should be doing to raise awareness about public health issues that you see?
I think that reaching parents is challenging in the world we live in, where parents are working, have many, many commitments drawing on their time. Any avenue of reaching parents is important, because until parents are given this information, what they know is that somehow marijuana seems safer than other drugs or alcohol. In reality, it's not safer.